Welcome back to the All Things Everything podcast presented by Gulf Coast Smoke. My name is Alonzo.
And I'm Sabrina.
Jeez, why do you say it like that? Why do you say it like that? That's like, you know what you sound? You sound like what I used to sound like when I would do YouTube videos and I was horrible at it. And I'm Sabrina. It sounds bad, babe. I'm just being real with you. You have to have a little bit of enthusiasm there. Like right before we start, I'm like, I talk normal and then I'm like, and I get into my YouTube voice. You got to get a YouTube voice or something, or at least a little bit of enthusiasm. My voice sounds weird though right now today. It sounds a little off, right?
Yeah, I feel like we're a little bit rusty.
Well, not even that. It just, I just feel like my voice is not like going away or something, but I don't know.
Well, my allergies are bugging me too, so I sound pretty monotone, but
yeah, no, that's not why.
Okay.
I'm just going to be honest with you. That's not why. We're not restarting. What was the last thing I said?
To me?
What do you mean? It just doesn't sound good. I'm like, the person on the other, whoever's listening, they're probably like, wow, this chick.
She sucks.
No, they're just like, wow, this chick's life, she must hate her life or something.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
My name is Sabrina. Woo!
Okay, and this is episode 12.
Episode 12.
After all that. So we took a week off. And we've obviously still been doing stuff. It's not like we took a week off from the podcast, but we've still been competing. We've still been doing stuff here at the house. We've had a lot going on family-wise. So how have the last few competitions? Well, besides Uvalde, everybody's seen the competition video for Engleside, and the only one coming up is Uvalde. We didn't talk about the recipe that we did the other day, which was our chili burger. So what we wanted to do, because, a lot of people are making chili right now. Well, right now everybody's transitioning into Thanksgiving stuff, but a couple of weeks back, people were making a lot of chili.
Right, so we got that cold front.
Yeah, we got a cold front. Here in Texas, our cold front is like when it's like 65 outside and we're freezing cold because we're used to it being 98 degrees outside in December. But either way, we wanted to make something that was just a little bit different than what everyone else is doing. Everyone's making chili, and don't get me wrong, I love chili. I love it. But we wanted to make a chili-inspired burger, and we actually used cornbread as the buns, and I thought it turned out absolutely incredible. I thought it was really, really good. I thought that the cornbread buns just baked out really well. We weren't sure how they're... So this is one of those things that we do a lot of recipes that we think of in our head. We have an idea on how we want to execute them, but we really don't know how they're going to taste. And we've had some things that didn't taste that great. We've had some things that tasted better than we thought, but this one was one of those where I think it was better than I thought it was going to be. But what do you think about it?
Yeah, so typically we're always making cornbread anytime we make chili.
Yeah.
But I'm not, because it is a sweeter cornbread, I just like it on the side. It's one of those things I could eat by itself, like take a bite of chili and just eat 90% cornbread. Yeah. But, I don't dip it in the chili or anything, but that's what I loved about this recipe is you're eating them together and it worked. I thought those cornbread buns were just so, so good. Of course it's like a 68 cents bag of cornbread. Yeah. But it's like the best cornbread.
Well, that's what I had it in my head and I wanted to say that. So obviously if you guys have watched that video or if you go back and watch it now, you'll notice that we used a bag, and no shame. I have no shame in doing that because that's just the way I grew up. It's a Hill Country Fair brand from H-E-B. It costs 68 cents and it makes a large pan of cornbread. And to me, it's kind of like, okay, whenever they have that debate on like beans or no beans, I'm saying beans only because that's the way I was brought up. I was brought up in a Hispanic family where I think you add the beans just to have more, Right. I had 3 sisters. It was me, my mom, my dad. Like, I think that's why, mostly Mexican people will add the beans or they'll say like yes to beans. But either way, that cornbread to me is just the best. It literally is like honey sweet cornbread. And like I said, it's 68 cents. So yeah, it's just really good. But if you guys have a recipe for homemade cornbread, by all means, share it with us. We'd love to try it. If it's as good as the 68 cent Hill Country Fair stuff, we'll switch to it for sure.
But I like that sweeter cornbread. I don't like the more like savory cornbread.
Yeah, there's a lot of people will make savory like with jalapenos and cheese in it and stuff, which I think that's good too. But if you're giving me, man, I hate to say it, but even like the best homemade cornbread or the Hill Country Fair one, like I'm choosing the Hill Country Fair. And again, it's because I'm used to that. That's what I've eaten for 33 years of my life, you know? So it's it's just one of those things where I like it. So I thought that recipe turned out really good. Now, it's one of those things where we know this is going to happen. And it's just like the thing when you start doing YouTube, you realize that there's some content that does really good and there's some content that just doesn't do so good. And these are those type of videos that we put out and we're like, man, our audience doesn't really look for those things. They're mostly looking for competition videos now, or like smoked brisket, smoked pork ribs, smoked pork butt. But the reality is we just cannot. Well, we can, but we don't want to be so one-dimensional. We're trying to show that we have a variety of things that we can show people out there. And even though sometimes these videos don't do great, I'm really happy with the outcome on them. And I think it's fun to just be able to do them at the house anyway. So, I mean, I thought it was a successful video. I thought it was a really, really good recipe. If you guys, again, are interested in trying it, go back and look at that video.
Yeah, and go try Malcolm's chili seasoning because it's a very good chili seasoning. And, I mean, especially in Texas and this time of year, I mean, we go through plenty of chili seasoning packets. So, I mean, pick up a bottle because he has a very, very good chili seasoning. I
mean, realistically, it's better than anything you can get in a packet at a store.
Right.
You know, by a pretty good margin, to be honest. It's delicious. So, just to give you a little bit more clarity on what exactly we did with that recipe. So, we had 80-20 ground beef. We ended up getting cheddar cheese, jalapenos, and onions. And we actually mixed all that into the 80-20 ground beef. And then we seasoned it with the Malcolm's chili seasoning, Malcolm's bona fide chili seasoning. And the way that we looked at it was, if we can't see a change in the color on this ground beef, if we can't smell that chili seasoning come through, we added more. So maybe we added, I don't know, let's just say 3 tablespoons in the beginning, mix, another tablespoon, mix, another tablespoon.
Like 2 tablespoons in the beginning.
Well,
1 to 2, and then we added another tablespoon probably after that.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever it is, my point is that make sure you're smelling it. Make sure you can see the seasoning, because you're not really seasoning the outside of it. You're just having the seasoning go everywhere throughout that mixture of your ground beef and all that stuff. And we wanted to keep the onions raw because even though they're going to get a little bit cooked, typically what I see is people will put raw white onions on top of their chili. So we were trying to figure out a way that we can incorporate, sour cream in it, because a lot of people like sour cream. Couldn't really figure out the best way to do that. If anybody does, let us know. And then we also hit it with a little bit of Malcolm's hot sauce, the Killer Hogs hot sauce, which is, no lie, my favorite hot sauce. I love it. And I've said this multiple times. It just has such a great flavor. It reminds me of, what is it called? Frank's. It reminds me of Frank's, but just better. I mean, I love it. It's my favorite hot sauce. And we just kind of, we used a lot of Malcolm stuff, and it just turned out really, really good. But the biggest thing for me was the buns. So we used a 4-inch what's it called? Springform pan. And we filled it up about 3/4 of the way. And the cornbread rose a little bit just over top of that, that pan. And it was perfect. Yeah. We were, and again, this is just kind of what we do. We weren't exactly sure how it was going to turn out, but it turned out perfect. It turned out fluffy. If you watch the video, like, and you're watching it on your TV that's 4K, or like on your monitor, bump it all the way to 4K, and you'll just see how good and perfect, and the texture on it was just amazing. So again, everything just worked out for that video, and hopefully you guys check it out. Hopefully you like it. That's we're putting out a turkey video Tuesday, right? Tuesday. So again, here's where we like to do things a little bit differently. We're trying something a little bit different, so we really hope we don't mess this turkey up. But there's a bunch of great turkey recipes out there already. And not that we can't give our spin on it, but like, man, go watch Malcolm Reed's videos on turkey. The dude has probably 8, 10, and they're all killer. So this one, not that we're necessarily trying to reinvent the wheel or anything, but I haven't seen too many people do what we're going to do. And hopefully it turns out good. Like I said, that's like last year we did a chicken fried turkey, which, no lie, at that point in our YouTube career, we were so much smaller than we are now that, man, like I wish people saw that video because that turkey to me was so good.
I'm sure we can also repost it.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, we could probably repost it, but I don't even know, like, were our videos still crappy at that point?
No, it's just that around this time of year, you know, we really wanted to put out a lot of holiday content. So we did 1 week was, you know, Thanksgiving dessert, Thanksgiving sides, Thanksgiving appetizers. So we did deviled eggs. We did, what was our side?
Creamed corn.
Oh yeah, that was good.
The creamed corn is so good.
Dessert, we did a pumpkin cake.
That's basically what I was getting at, is that we've tried really hard to do holiday content and all that stuff, and it unfortunately never really works out for us. But you know, maybe this year will be our year. I don't know. Yeah. I don't want to stop doing it because it's fun, and then like we're doing holiday stuff at the house, right? Like that to me it's fun. Yeah. Like we do the videos that we do, like where, yes, we definitely have and we will go out of our way to do something for you guys, but realistically, like, this is truly stuff that we want to make, right? Like, I don't think that we've maybe made a handful of things where we're like, ugh, don't want to make that, but we have to for the video. Like, most of the time, it's truly just what we want to eat.
Right.
And that's the beauty of it. So you're, like, basically just eating what we're eating at our house. You know, a lot of the times we truly, like, when we go to competitions, like the last 5 competitions we've gone to, on Friday night, we're eating the same thing. We're eating pork ribs that Dad makes, sausage, chicken. It's just simple. That's the way we like to eat. And every time we eat it, we're like, oh man, this is life. This is life. You know, like even last competition, I was literally eating and I was like, dude, this is the best way to eat. I don't care what anybody says. Like we had, we just had those things, and we had like chips and cheese and everything. And I don't know. I was just like, this is truly it. We've won. So yeah, but moving on, we did post the Engleside video, and I don't know if we got to talk about, I know we talked about the first time you dropped the bag.
Yes, we did talk about the second time because that's what led us into our food horror stories. Yeah. But for anyone who doesn't realize or who just watched the video and were like confused as to what happened, back in Laredo, I dropped one of the handles of our carrying bag when I went to turn in chicken. Yep. So the chicken fell. We actually had the time to go back in the trailer, kind of clean up the box, and then get to turn in. Because we knew turn in was kind of farther away. We were all the way in the back. So turn in was farther away. We tried to make sure we had plenty of time to get there. So we actually had time to kind of wipe up the box and go. Now in Ingleside, I remember we were still in the trailer, and I said, hey, it's 1:56, and we were still trying to, taste our chicken, make sure it's the way we wanted, and then had to box it. So we were already rushing, and then it's the first turn in. The kids are excited. They want to come with me. And so, one of the kids was holding a camera, one was holding the QR code, and then they were discussing about who was going to carry what. And then so I was worried about that, and I completely forgot about the time. And then all I heard was someone yelling like a minute or a minute and a half or something like that. And I'm like, oh, crap. Yeah. So I went and, grabbed the QR code from whichever kid, and I went to turn around, and the bag slipped. Chicken dropped again. Yeah. This time around, we didn't have the time to go back and try and fix it. So I just ran instinctively, just took off because turn-in was like a minute and a half away. Yeah. And so I ran over there. I had time to open the bag and look at it, and it didn't look pretty. There was like sauce and juices from everywhere. The chicken everywhere. Yeah. But
no, the head judge told me, he was like, dude. So I don't know if I told you this.
No, you did not.
The head judge told me that he was like, bro. He's like, when your wife opened that bag, dude, there was chicken juice and sauce everywhere.
Everywhere.
He was like, man, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. It didn't look good.
It did not.
And it was one of those things where in the moment, obviously, you were really upset. I don't even think I was upset.
Well, because you didn't know at first. You didn't see. Yeah. I mean, Zach and
because
Bree
I was in the trailer.
Yeah.
And I guess the last 2 times, like if it was me that would have done it, that would have done it, I would have been super mad. But I know the last 2 times, like, I'm only going to make it worse if I give you a hard time or if I get mad, because it's like, dude, you're just going to feel even worse than you already do. Like, you already felt bad.
Yeah.
Like, it was, and I even had a couple people text me after the video dropped on Engleside, and they're like, bro, you could just tell, like, your wife truly felt like crap. And I was like, oh, no, dude, like, it was not good.
Yeah.
It was definitely not good, but I
didn't even want to finish filming at that point. But
no, yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't tell anybody that, but yeah, I mean, realistically, like, you literally told me you're like, or I'm sorry, because I walked out of the trailer just to let you have your moment, and you texted me, you're like, I'm done filming. Like, I don't want to film anymore. And I was just like, okay. Like, I didn't even really argue with you. But
and then I remembered I'm not a quitter.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's one of those things. I think maybe in there or Laredo, I told you, like, hey, look, it just, like, is what it is. You know, we can't change anything about that, but, like, we could still hit a first place ribs and we could hit a first place brisket. Like, let's go do it. And
I think that was the turning point. Is I told myself, no, we're gonna complete this. We're gonna finish filming. Like, stop dwelling on it. And as soon as we opened up those ribs to start slicing and we tasted them, I was like, oh my gosh, like, these are good.
Yeah.
Like, what am I getting upset at? Like, I can't let that ruin my day because these are good.
Well, the other thing was that, I mean, like, while all the bad stuff was happening, you know, it's really, really easy to just, like, focus on that. But as soon as, like you said, like, as soon as you get the opportunity to see the next thing, it's like, well, unfortunately, you really don't even have time to think about it anymore, because, like, you're busy too. You help me. You know, it's not like, and again, like, it's really cool to see. And then also, like, because of the fact that you didn't want to film, that's why that video was a lot shorter than normal. Otherwise, we probably would have, you know what I mean?
Well, also, we got, that's one of those videos where we're right down the street. So we didn't, the kids and I didn't sleep in the trailer, so I couldn't get up super early and be out there filming the whole thing. So we got there, I don't know, like 8-ish. 8 o'clock.
Yeah, where I'm already at it for 3 hours.
Things have already been wrapped.
Yeah, I'm already at it for 3 hours by myself. And, you know, like I said, it's just, that's why the video is a little bit shorter. But
and
yeah,
no
I mean,
pork.
Yeah. But I mean, once you start getting going on the next thing, like, you really don't have time to worry too much about the last thing, because like I said, you're busy too, right? So, like, I would say that ribs is probably the one thing that I do the most of by myself, right? Like, other than that, like, you literally helped me with boxing everything. So besides putting the half chicken in,
yeah, if it's like thighs and
yeah,
stuff,
if it's
like,
thighs, you do it. You do the thighs. You do, literally, if it's half birds and wings, I'll throw it in there. Other than that, thighs, you're doing that. On ribs, I pretty much do that alone. But pork, you do all of pork. I mean, I help you, like, get it together, but you put it all in the box. And brisket, the only thing I'll put in, if anything, gosh, I feel like something's in my, the only thing I'll put in, if anything, is burn-ins.
Yeah.
Because I just already know. I unfortunately don't have the patience to put in the slices like that. Like, and you've heard it, and you've probably even seen it. There's so many people that tell us, like, dude, your brisket boxes are the most fire I've ever seen. I'm like, and I even was telling Bobby yesterday on the phone, I was like, bro, like, I cook it. Don't get me wrong, like, sure. But my wife is the one that puts it in there. Like, she's, by trade, she's a baker. You know, like, she's really, really good. She's got a steady hand. Could I do it? I think I could, but, like, I think it'd take me a long time to learn how to do it. So, again, my point is that when we move on to the next thing, like, you don't really have time to think about the chicken anymore, because, like, you do help me a lot. Like, we're 100% a team. Like, I might cook, but I couldn't finish it without you. I mean, there's even times where I would be like forgetting stuff, and you're like, hey, don't forget about the black pepper in the morning. I'm like, oh crap, like, you're right. Or don't forget about your liquid, you know, don't forget about this, don't forget about your butter, because it's just, I mean, it's hard, you know, it's hard. Like, and, like, the one thing I will say is, when you're not there early in the morning, like, I know I have to focus up. So I feel like I'm like really, really, really staying on top of everything because like I have no room to mess up, right? Like if I mess up if the cook is messed up, it's me. Like you didn't forget to, I couldn't say like, oh, Sabrina forgot to do this. I'm by myself. Like I wasn't by myself until like, like you said, 8:30, whatever. So like, that's why I was focusing really hard on the color of my ribs. And I think that, we nailed them that day. They looked delicious. And people even after the video, they were like, bro, those ribs looked fire. Mm-hmm. And they did. I mean, they did. And honestly, that was probably since the last time that we got first place ribs. And I hate to say it like this, but you just, not that but like you just have a feeling. You just got that feeling. I had that feeling in Victoria when we won first place ribs, and I had that feeling in Wharton when we won first place ribs. I feel like Wharton was fate. Like, you remember, like, we were going back and forth, like, which one are we going to? Are we going to go to high stakes? Because we were going to go.
You wanted one of those guns.
Yeah, we were going to go to high stakes to cook next to Rini. And then I was like, man, I just can't get over the guns. I can't get over it. Again, I was telling you every day, I was like, dude, I cannot get over it. Like, I want one of those guns so bad. Mm-hmm. And it almost made no sense because, like, we hadn't GC'd at that point. Like, what are you chasing, dude?
Right.
But, and that was the first time that we had ever cooked on drums at a comp, too.
And our first CBA. Adding pork. But, man, everything just went perfect with those ribs. And I tasted them, and I'm like, yep, this is them. Right.
This is them right here. And that's the same exact way I felt with those ribs in Ingleside. We took a bite, and I was like, dude, these are so fire, it's insane.
Yeah.
We ended up with a 4th place rib, which honestly, I can't be mad at that. We had some really good rib cooks. Kevin Hernandez got 2nd place. Zach Smith got 1st place. So, like, some great rib cooks beat us for sure. Mm-hmm. But, I thought those ribs were, like, on point. I really, really, truly
I thought they were good enough to get it first if they did.
For sure. And then, of course, brisket. Thankfully, we've been doing really good on brisket most of the year. So I always feel confident on brisket. I tell people, I'm like, man, and I think you heard me on the phone yesterday. I was telling somebody, dude, like, I sincerely believe our brisket trim makes all the difference.
For sure.
Because, and then you and I were talking about it later that night because I was actually trimming the brisket and we're like, man, it just looks the same as always. Mm-hmm. Like nothing's changing on our brisket. It's just every single time, for whatever reason, I feel very confident trimming the brisket. I couldn't tell you why, but it's just coming out good every time. So if you guys have or want any brisket tips, mine would literally be learn how to trim a brisket and learn how to trim it really, really well.
Yeah.
Because it just makes to where everything is consistent. I'm telling you right now, my brisket is on smoke for 3 hours. I wrap it. It's in the wrap for 3 hours, and it's done.
Yeah.
Because it's consistent every single time. Because I run my gateway drum at 300 every single time with B&B charcoal every single time with post oak and pecan chunks. It's like I know exactly what I want to do there. I'm getting there with my ribs and my pork. Of course, chicken is still taking a little bit of time, but it's all good.
Well, and I think with the brisket too, I mean, you think about the shape of our slices is very consistent. Mm-hmm. The majority of the time, it's very consistent. The pieces all look the same. They're the same shape, and they're typically almost the exact length of or width of the box. And so that all comes from the trim. I mean, if anything, the only thing we're trimming off is the layer of fat. If the fat looks like it's, just not working or it's not going to be appealing to the judges, we'll cut that off. But that's the only trimming we're having to do to those slices of brisket. And if you don't start out with that good trim and you have this giant brisket that you're now trying to slice into the box, you don't want to have to cut off all the bark. Now, it's not a barky brisket because it's competition brisket, but either way, there's a lot of flavor there, and you don't want to have to cut that off just to fit it in the box. So that it really is the most important part of brisket is starting out with that good shape. Yeah. So you know that, it's going to cook pretty much like this. I mean, yeah, it's going to, shrink up or pump up, but that's the shape that it's going to retain for the whole cook. So when you slice it, you're going to have uniform slices. And we talked about this yesterday, is like, to some people it might seem like, oh, that's like incredible. How do you do that? But to us, it's just like, oh, this is easy. It's like, this is the same thing we're always doing.
Yeah.
And it's because we're starting out with that good trim. Slices are uniform, so you just lay them in the box.
Yeah.
Make sure there's enough spacing between them, and that's it.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm also not here to take anything away, because I will say it. You can ask Sabrina, how many really nice briskets did I screw up?
Right.
And then I would get like super mad, and then I'd have to go buy another brisket because I was trying to do what I'm doing now, but I wasn't going about it the right way because I was trying on like a snake. I would try and separate a snake, and I would screw it up, and then there'd be a 2-inch gouge in it, and it was unusable.
Right.
Like I've messed up so many briskets. You guys just don't see that.
Right.
So
yeah, and I guess the word I wouldn't use is it's easy.
No.
And you know, I said this to Penelope the other day about her dance moves. Like, you practice things enough to where they become less hard.
Yeah, or it's just like a routine. You know,
right.
It's like it's just something you do.
Yeah.
But I will say, if you're not, and again, I'm not saying that this is what you should do, but I'm telling you what I've done is I've literally been here at my house practicing competition briskets, inviting friends over, asking them if they like the flavor, making sure the tenderness is there. Like, dude, I've done it so many times. And I really think that, I mean, we've taken it seriously for a long time. Even when we didn't even know what we were doing, we were still trying to like perfect it. And we would do a select briskets, choice briskets, $30 briskets, you know?
Yeah, you don't need to go get a good brisket for practice.
100%. So it will be different, but you'll at least get an idea of what you're trying to do. So, yeah, I mean, it's just something that's been kind of coming up a lot because a lot of people freak out over our brisket boxes. Like, I've had literally people tell me, like, dude, they look too pretty. People are going to freak out. I've had people call me and tell me, like, dude, just stop putting so much information out there, you know, whatever. But, man, you know, everybody has to still remember. I don't even know how to say it without sounding stupid, but, like, we're YouTubers, man. Like, we're YouTubers. This is what we do. We put all of our stuff out there. It's content for people to enjoy, retain, learn from. That's why we do this. That's why we started this. And we're not going to switch up now because we're competing. I'm not going to change and be like, man, I just don't want to help anybody anymore. Now, that being said, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and give you guys everything. And the thing I need people to understand on why I won't give everything is because I've learned a lot from people, and I have to respect them.
Right.
I have to respect them. Like, Bill Purvis is one of the greatest people I've met in the barbecue scene. He's helped me a lot. I can't go turn around and tell you what Bill Purvis taught me. I can't do it. That's not right. That's not right to Bill. Bill's taking time out of his day to talk to me on the phone to help me with something. Or Kevin Hernandez, another one. Like, I talk to Kevin. How many times a week would you say I talk to Kevin?
A lot, yeah.
Probably almost every day, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just to catch up and say, hey, how's your day going? Whatever. I mean, great, dude. But a lot of the times we're talking Q. Hey, you know, Kevin, what would you do in this situation? What would you do in that situation? And the other thing is, you also have to respect the cook. Like, I'm not going to ask Kevin 100% intimate questions about his cook.
Right.
I'm just not going to do that. But, like, we'll get to talking and, you know, like, what do you look for in this? What do you look for in that? And, like, Kevin has helped me, but he's also told me at the same time, like, hey, man, you know, like, I'm going to help you, but you also got to figure it out too. Right. And again, if Kevin gives me a little bit of information, I'm not going to turn around and give that to the next person because that's out of respect for Kevin. I'm not trying to withhold secrets, but, like, people just need to understand that, right? It's just not that simple. It's not like Alonzo just doesn't want to tell me, because I've learned from a lot of great cooks out there. Like I said, honestly, no lie, I feel like without Kevin, Bill, Phil, and Rini, I don't think we ever would have won. Because those 4 dudes have given us not so much information, but they have helped me out so much. Like, even on times when, you know, we were real down, like, Phil would come up to me and he'd be like, hey, bro, food looks good. Like, keep cooking. Keep cooking. And those little things, when you hear that from one of the best cooks in Texas, you're like, okay, I'm on the right path. Right. I'm on the right path. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. And then what do you know? 3 cooks later, we finally hit our first GC. And, like I said, that's why it's not very easy to just give out information, because you guys got to realize some of the stuff that's up here in my head, I've learned from other cooks. That's why you're not going to see what's in my liquid wrap for ribs or pork or whatever. I'm not saying that they gave me that information, but maybe something that they said influenced a reason why I did this. And also, I forgot to mention Mark Williams.
Yeah.
When I first started cooking, Mark Williams literally gave me so much information without giving me information that I've ever gotten in my life. Like, that dude, like, you've heard of Mad Scientist Barbecue, right? How he's real analytical about everything he does. That's what Mark Williams is in the competition world.
Yeah.
Like, he just really, really thinks about everything he's doing. Everything he has is for a reason. Everything he does is for a reason. And he really made me switch up my mindset on competition barbecue. So those 5 people, then, I cannot forget about Mark Williams, because that dude has helped me so much. Insanely. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's been a fun journey to compete. And we've talked about it before a lot. Like, we're just going to keep doing what we do, and whatever happens, happens, So, Engleside was fun. I know we kind of got off on a little, but what did we end up placing in all of our meets in Engleside? Do you remember?
Yes. So we've got, surprisingly, an 11th place chicken. So
I will, just to cut you off real quick, I will say this. With the 11th place chicken, the silver lining is we definitely saw low appearance scores.
Yeah.
And I think if we fix those up, I mean, maybe we get because we tied for 10th chicken with Bo Daniel.
Oh, really?
And he beat us in the tiebreaker. Mm-hmm. So if we would have fixed up those appearance scores, we could have maybe, I'm not saying, maybe been in the 8th, 7th place spot. Right. Because we had multiple 8s on appearance.
Yeah. And I'm going to go off topic for a second, because a lot of, when people tell us about the appearance of our boxes, they're too pretty.
Yeah.
You might want to, make them look a little less pretty so they, blend in, I guess.
Yeah.
So it doesn't shock people or, whatever the reason. But to me, appearance is one of those things that there's no excuse to not get the best score.
Mm-hmm.
And we've put out stuff that we thought looked perfect, and it, people.
Yeah. It gets an 8. It gets an 8.
Yeah. But to me, those appearance, that's the one thing you can control 100%, as long as you don't drop it. Yeah. But that's the one thing you can control to make sure you're getting the highest score possible. So to me, because you don't want it to come down to, well, it's a tiebreaker. All this other stuff was good, but man, this appearance score right here gave us the lowest score here, so we lost a tiebreaker. That's the one thing you should, because you can't control people's taste buds.
For sure.
Or what textures they like, but you can control the way it looks. Mm-hmm. So why not make it the best it can be? Because, I mean, it's you should almost guarantee that you're getting a 10 on your appearance every single time, right? So yeah, I mean, if our appearance would have been better on chicken, I mean, we could have got we could have, GC'd the whole thing if we got a higher score. But anyway, we got an 11th place chicken, which we were happy with considering what happened.
The situation, yeah.
Yeah. We got a 4th place ribs, mm-hmm. and then we got a 2nd place brisket with a 4th overall.
Yeah. Which is a great showing, because there was 50 teams, and there was a lot of really good teams.
Yeah.
My Pits Are Burning was there. RG3 was there. Beer Belly's Barbecue was there, who he GC'd. Congrats to him. We had Grim Reaper Barbecue was there. Red Mule's Badass Barbecue was there. Grady, Grade A Barbecue was there. Bo Daniel was there. Totally Bodacious Barbecue. I mean...
And some other ones that we've competed against before, like You Can Smoke Your Eye Out.
Yeah, and, You'll Smoke Your Eye Out.
Pura Vida Barbecue.
Yep. There was a lot of great teams there. So we're excited with a 4th place finish, and we'll take that all day long. Again, congrats to Beer Belly on GC. Grade A Barbecue got RGC. Mm-hmm. RG3 got 3rd, and we got 4th. So a great cook-off, and we love going to that one. I think we talked about that on the last one, but just overall, really, really great. So what I do want to do is I want to move into questions already.
Well, we didn't talk about Uvalde.
Oh, yeah. Do we want to talk? No, I'm just kidding. So we're not going to go. Yeah, we don't want to talk about Uvalde, but we're going to anyway because this is just the real part of it, right?
Yeah.
So we got a great 4th place finish. The very next weekend, we headed to Uvalde, and we ended up doing a competition there where I don't know how many teams there was.
It seemed like there was a lot, though.
It was probably around the same, around 50.
Yeah.
Something like that. A great event. It's at the same exact location where they do the Briscoe, which we'll be going to on December 9th.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, and I know you know this is true. Like when we were done cooking, I was like, dude, everything I thought was so good.
Yeah.
I thought the food was incredible. I thought we did a really good job. And man, we got beat up bad. We got beat up bad. So we ended up getting 36th chicken. We ended up getting 28th ribs, 30th place pork, and 11th place brisket. Just straight up got beat up.
Yep.
Like we had no shot. We ended up getting 28th place out of 50. It was 50 because I remember seeing that. So 28th out of 50, which is officially our worst placing ever. But it's okay. I mean, I was, of course, like in the beginning, you're like, dude, no way, blah, 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 whatever. You know, Smoking Donkey's Barbecue, Corbin, he ended up GCing, great cook, let it slide off. You know, it is what it is. You guys will see that video, not Tuesday, but the Tuesday after.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of be a judge yourself and see what you thought we missed or didn't do or did. But I can tell you what, everything to me tasted amazing. I thought the ribs were almost just as good as the week before.
For sure.
Like we were eating them and we were like, dude, these are fire. Like,
yeah, that and our brisket, like we always feel real confident. Like that's gotta hit. Well,
the brisket, I will say this, the brisket, while I was slicing it, I bit it and I was like, yep, that's it. Like,
yeah,
I felt like we were going to be there in the top 3-5.
And that was the flat that you tasted.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that wasn't even the burnt ends. And then we tasted the burnt ends. We're like, yeah, these are money.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, a tough weekend for sure. This weekend we're headed to Killeen. And we're excited for that one. It's going to be another hard one. But, you know, we're towards the end of the season and we just need one more event. And we'll go from there and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we love these events where it's got a lot of people and a lot of good teams because that's, I mean, I want to win against people who are
the best.
Yeah.
For sure. So, because I want to move on to questions, we'll just keep it at that. Mm-hmm. We got beat up in Uvalde. Yeah. We're gonna go again this weekend.
Nothing left to talk about.
Yeah, there's really nothing left to talk about. You guys will see the video. Yeah. But you know, it is what it is. It just kind of it happens sometimes. You know, you take them, you move on, and I mean, you can't enjoy the good and not be able to take the bad. It's not always going to be good. So you got to learn how to just handle it. How to handle it. And we're completely fine. We go again. So moving on to questions. We have quite a few. So I'm not sure if we're going to get them all in, but we're going to try. We'll try and answer quickly, but, you know, with obviously respect to the question. So first one comes from Courtney Gebhardt. Will we ever get to have your dad on the podcast as a guest? I'm so interested in his POV on everything you're doing.
Man.
I'm assuming that she's talking to me.
Yeah.
The unfortunate and quick answer to that is no, it'll never happen.
Unless it's like a phone interview.
Yeah, it would. I don't even think it would be that.
Yeah.
My dad is just not into that. Even when we're taking pictures and video at events, he's always there and he never wants to be in.
Right.
So he purposely makes it to where like he's out of the way before we start filming. He doesn't even want his hands in there, nothing. His hands and stuff have been in the videos, but he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it would be interesting to see if we can get your mom or dad on here because it's while they have a little bit different of a point of view, like to see what they think might be really cool, or maybe one of my sisters, like Kimberly, or you know somebody just to see what they think. But unfortunately, my dad would never. It'll never happen.
Yeah, but just know he's got like he's got a really good point of view on everything. So that
and
that stings that you'll never hear it, but unless it's in person.
And he's the best person besides us to have that point of view. Maybe also Chance and Travis because like they've rolled with us for a long time. Luke,
Yeah.
Maybe if we can get one of those guys in here, like that would be really good because their point of view on seeing where we started and seeing where we are now, realistically, the two, probably realistically, Travis and Luke, because, Chance too. Literally all three of them have kind of been with from the beginning. But, that's a great idea to have somebody on who has an outside point of view on what we're doing. But unfortunately, Courtney, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and Travis is, he's gone to several of our events and tasted our stuff. He's helped judge other people's stuff and judged been the head judge on our events. And even like in Engleside, we get if he's there and he's available, we'll get his take on it because Travis has a different like palate than us, I think.
Yeah, and we make sure like or even Dad or Chance, like we literally were like, hey, be ready. We're going to cut this piece of whatever, and we want you to taste it, and we want you to be honest with us, like, right now.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right. So, like, Chance will be ready. Like, boom. He's like, shh, that's good. I like it. Maybe a little salty. Maybe a little sweet. Travis is the same exact way. And I have to tell him, like, hey, bro, like, you're not helping me if you're being nice. Like, I'm trying to win this thing.
Yeah.
I don't care what you have to say right now. Like, I'm going to fix it, and we're going to go.
Yeah.
So, we'll work on that. I think that's a great idea. Get somebody's point of view who has seen us grow from where we were to where we are.
Yeah.
Moving on, Zach Williams asks, are there technique differences you use from when you had to go from a big offset compared to your drums? Yes, big time. So with the offset, I was basically cooking at 275 the whole time. There's a lot of movement going on in that offset smoker. The drum is a really, really, really moist environment. You don't have to spritz. I rarely spritz. I use water pans in there. I'm cooking a lot hotter, a lot faster. I'm cooking ribs in almost like 3 hours, And, there's a huge difference in what I'm doing. So I think if you're ever looking to swap from offset to drums, just be ready to make those quick adjustments because you can burn stuff pretty quickly. We've burnt the bottom of our ribs very, very, very quickly before. Play around with deflector plates, play around with water pans, play around with a lot of different things just to see the way you like to cook because there are also a lot of drums out there these days. Like we have Gateway and Race Crew drums. There's Quattro D drums. There's Top Notch Weld. There's just a lot of different drums out there. So you just got to play with your stuff. But for sure, you're cooking a lot hotter. I'm adding a water pan in there for moisture. And I'm spinning my grate a lot. I feel like we're looking at the drum almost every 15, 30 minutes.
Right.
So, yeah. It's a lot different, but personally, I think it's been not better, but it's made everything a little bit easier.
Right.
And I like cooking on drums. What about you?
Right. Yeah, you still have to pay the same amount of attention because you want to see, okay, do I need to close the vents? Do I need to open the vents? Do I need to try and get this hotter? Do I need to get some airflow into it? But it is, you're not having to load in wood every, 30 minutes or an hour or whatever it is that you usually do. You're not having to, maintain that fire as much, but you do have to still pay attention to it.
Drums can get out of control really quickly.
Right. But I think once you learn them, it's
like our Gateway just rocks at 300 the whole day.
Yeah.
Really, it does. So, great question, Zach.
Yep.
Moving on, Kevin Hernandez asks, on chicken, do you inject or brine or both and why? And then, phosphates or no phosphates? So, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And the answer is, I've done it all.
Yeah.
And we've done it all as of recently because we've been having so many chicken troubles. We've done, so I would say 90% up until now, we've always brined for 12 hours and then injected. We've done both ways. We've used some of the brine as an injection. We've used a completely separate injection. We've recently injected only. We've recently brined only. And for me personally, this is just me, and I think you would agree, the best bird that we've put out is a brined only bird.
Yes.
No injection. Go ahead.
I think a lot of, so to me, what I've always known just from like the culinary background is like a brine should be simple. The salt, the sugar, the water. You can add like peppercorns, bay leaves, some herbs. But I've always stuck to a salt, sugar, water brine. Very simple. And I've always enjoyed that for whole chickens, half chickens, for fried chicken, for turkey. I always stick with the brine poultry. I think it's the best. And you're getting that flavor throughout the chicken without there, being pockets of things, right? That's my issue with injection, I think, is a lot of the times with injections, you're getting pockets full of stuff. Now, it could taste good, but sometimes it can mess with the texture. You can have like kind of goopiness. Yeah. So I think, and you're only getting that flavor a lot of the times right there where the injection hit, not in the rest of the meat if you don't hit it. Injections with anything else, I love, like brisket, pork, ribs. But when it comes to poultry, I stand behind just a simple brined bird. Yeah. And then phosphates, I mean, we've
always used phosphates.
Yeah. I don't really see a reason not to. I don't think it changes the flavor. Yeah. But also injections, I will say, I feel like sometimes injections can mess with the texture.
Yeah. No, so we've always used Well, I'm lying. We started using phosphates after Phil Breeden released Rainmaker. Mm-hmm. I reached out to him. I've told this story before. I reached out to him. He told me what they are. We've used them ever since then. Recently, because we're messing around with no injection, we're just kind of going back and forth. But I've always used phosphates, and the reason is because we did do a video before where we injected a bird with extra phosphates in it, and we could tell a difference. Right. We could tell a major difference in the tenderness and in the moisture. So in that sense, I'm always going with phosphates if we're injecting. But right now we're playing around with a no injection bird. Don't necessarily take that and go and try it tomorrow, because our success rate right now is, with chicken in general, is not through the roof, okay? But I'm telling you that we are actively trying to figure out what's the best way for us to cook chicken. And once we figure that out, we'll give you guys all the information we can, because I do think it'd be very interesting and make it a lot easier if you could brine the bird the day before and not have to worry about injecting the day of on Saturday. So take that answer with a grain of salt. Right now, we're working on a brine only, no injection bird. When we are injecting, we are always using phosphates. Now, Kevin Hernandez right now is the number one cook in chicken. And I can tell you that I've had his chicken before, and his chicken breast has so much flavor, but it's just like a really good chicken flavor. Like, I don't know what he's doing, and the texture is just on point. I have not nailed texture the way Kevin has nailed texture, and I'm just going to say that flat out. So great question by the number one chicken cook in CBA right now.
Yeah, Kevin, go ahead and answer your own question in the comments.
Hey, why don't you can I call you right now and get you on the phone and you answer that for us? No. Great question, Kevin. I appreciate that. Sure. Moving on to Tavin Simmons. Do you cook at different temps on your pit for competition than when you are at home? Yes, for sure. If I'm at the house, I'm cooking a brisket, man, I ain't gonna lie, I'm cool with 225, 250. At competition, I'm rocking 325, 300. Just simply because I want it to be done quicker and I want to be able to sleep. Right. That's just the, I know that's not the most exciting answer, but that's the dead honest truth.
Yeah, because we're at home and, I mean, we have the time to relax and, let that brisket go all day. But with competition, you're on a timeline. You need it ready by a specific time. Some people don't let it rest. Some people like to let it rest. So you have to make sure that you know your timeline, know how much time you need to get that done and get it done. So the hotter and faster you can do a brisket, the better. But yeah, there's more time to relax and go low and slow at home.
Absolutely. Moving on, Christopher Cristal asks, what grade meat to start with at comps? And man, Chris, I think you just need to look at your budget first. I would say the most important thing to do is get a really good brisket. Chickens are pretty inexpensive. Ribs, you can go to H-E-B and get some nice racks at Smithfield's, whatever. But I would say on brisket, you should at least go for a prime. That's just my point of view. But my friend and brother Carl Davis has hit a first place brisket before with a choice, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's possible if you get it. There's some good choices.
Yeah, there's some good choices, and that's a great segue into saying that if you find a choice and it has great marbling, man, get it, run it.
Yeah, go for it.
Rini Gonzalez ran a choice in Sin earlier this year, and he got 4th place brisket, and we got 3rd. Like, we barely beat him out. And I think we had a snake.
And I think it also depends on what competition you're going to. So a lot of the times we'll ask yourself, okay, what is this going to have a lot of people, a lot of hard-hitting cooks? Okay, we want to try and spend the money to get something better quality. If this is just a small cook, local or something, not a lot of teams, like, yeah, we'll just get a prime or something.
Yeah.
But I think brisket's the only thing where you really, if you're starting out, that's the one thing you have to really go and see what your options are. Everything else you can just, it's whatever's there as long as it's, fits the criteria of what you're looking for, like the right weight, the right size, for ribs, the right thickness.
For sure.
So, that's the one thing I think you need to ask yourself, okay, do I need to pay attention to what grade this is?
Yeah. Moving on, Donnie Howard asks, what is the brisket based? Maybe just items if you don't want to divulge. Completely understand. So the answer to that is our brisket au jus.
Yeah.
I will tell you that there's beef broth in it. A lot of people think that we're saucing our brisket slices. I'm just here to tell you that you're wrong.
Yeah. Now you can use a sauce. I think you're going to get, now the whole point of us basting our slices, first of all, is we want to give it some sheen to it, because as soon as you slice into that brisket, it's going to start to oxidize, and you want it to look appealing when these judges open it. So first of all, you want that shine. Also, when you have that hot au jus, it's going to help retain some heat, and it's also flavorful. That those liquids that brisket's been cooking in, right?
Well, and what it's rendering out,
right?
So there's to answer the question. It's our brisket au jus, and there's beef broth in it. From there, play around with some stuff. You know, like I said, So Donnie Howard asks a second question, one more if I can ask two. How do you guys select which cook-offs you go to? Association, location, or what it's supporting? My wife and I tend to buy what it's supporting, especially anything kid-driven, being as she's a retired teacher and I coach for 25 years. We call it investing into the future. That's a great way to look at it. So for us, we are looking at a few different things. I'll answer my way, the way I look at it, and you can answer yours. So we're looking at location, obviously. If there's one really close to us, we're extremely intrigued. Number two, we are looking at the cause for sure. Like this weekend, we're competing in Killeen, and we were actually going to go to a different location, but when we found out that this one was to support the Army and it's Veterans Day this weekend, we're like, yeah, we'll go an extra hour to Killeen.
Yeah.
And, that's the way we looked at that one. And the last thing is we are guessing, and it's impossible to know for sure, but we're guessing where some of the larger names in barbecue are going to go. And the reason that we're doing that is because we want to compete against them, and we hope that we have some luck against them. Like I love competing against LC Barbecue. I love competing against Chicken Fried Barbecue. My Pits Are Burning, 4D. There's a lot of great cooks out there. First Class Barbecue, Bullhorn Barbecue, Bighorn Cookers. There's a lot of guys out there that I love going where they're going. Number one, because they're actually really cool dudes. And number two, because they're established and they're very good at this. And I feel like if we can hang with them in these events, we're on the right path. So we're always looking at ourselves. Where are we at in comparison to these juggernauts? Can we compete with them? Yes or no? So that's what I look at. I don't know what you look at.
Well, and also we started out early in the year IBCA.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we're doing mostly CBA because we enjoy cooking pork.
Yes,
and that's the difference between the two. First of all.
Yeah, and just to, I know I'm cutting you off for a second, but I've had a lot of people ask me, why are you doing only CBAs now? And we love IBCA. That's where we started. We have some great friends that cook IBCA, and they're fun. The only reason we've been recently doing CBA, truly, is because we got a couple of GCs in CBA, and we're like, hey, let's go get 10 events and see if we can't finish this year out. That's it. We're not boycotting anything. We are going to 100% compete in IBCA again. It's just we're trying to finish this year out strong. And after this, But anyway, I'm sorry. Keep going.
So we do pay attention to the sanctioning body. So if the CBA is just way far out there, not something we want to do that weekend, we'll go and look, okay, what IBCA events are, because there's typically a lot of local ones with IBCA. So we like any sanctioning body. We love KCBS, but there's realistically just none here in Texas. So we take a look at both, see what's around us. And we definitely are always like, okay, well, who's competing where this weekend? Because we want to make sure we're giving ourselves a challenge and, hoping we can win in a more challenging environment. We're looking at the location, especially if you're working on a Friday. We want to make sure we pick a close location. Yeah. So that way it's not as much of a drive. And we're typically never really driven by the money, the payout. We do love a good competition that's doing something good. For people.
And that's the thing. I can honestly say, and I mean this with the deepest part of my heart, I have never looked at a cookout and thought like, I want to go there because they have a lot of money. Yeah. I've never done that. I don't know if you have, but the first CBA we ever went to, I wanted a trophy.
Right. We've chased several trophies. Yeah. The only competition, which this isn't the reason why we went, but that we thought, oh, that's pretty cool, was Uvalde. It was 1,000 points for first place brisket, which we were like, hey, we make a pretty good brisket. That would be cool if we won it. Yeah. But
realistically, I like the guys that put that on, and we wanted to go support them. Yeah. That's why we went to Needville.
It had nothing to do with why we went, but that was the only one that I was like, oh, hey, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Yeah, that has never been the main reason why we pick our competitions. I know for some people that could be why.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But as far as our decisions, those were the things that we typically are looking for.
For sure. All right. Joseph Angel Puente asks, Wagyu versus Prime. Do they finish at different temps, different injections for Wagyu versus Prime? Yes, they do finish, not necessarily different temps, but Wagyu can go a little bit longer, and we push ours a little bit longer than we would a Prime. On a versus scale, I like Snake River Farms briskets the best. That's just those are my favorite. So if I had to choose, if you were to ask me, hey, what's your favorite brisket? I'm saying Snake River Farms. I don't know what you would say. I really, really, really also like IBP Primes. Yeah,
I don't think as far as brisket, when it comes to Prime and Wagyu, I don't think there's a major difference. Now, when you're talking like a ribeye, like an A5 Wagyu and a Prime steak, yeah, there is a big difference because like I'll eat a whole Prime, but I'm only going to eat a couple slices of an A5. But when it comes to brisket, it's not a drastic change in marbling. It's a decent amount of change in marbling. But if we can get our hands on a Snake River Farms, we're going to use that. But I don't see anything wrong with the Prime. And it's not like it's going to take an hour longer, but you can take those Wagyus a little bit longer because you got more intramuscular fat. So it's going to retain a decent amount of moisture, but you're injecting both of them. Yeah. Regardless, you're injecting both of them. So it's not.
And we don't change, to answer the second part or the third part of your question, we do not change our injection. Right. We do not change it at all.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, maybe you could say, I want to go maybe a little less salt. So it's not so like, rich, maybe. But to me, there's not a drastic change in fat to where it's like, oh man, this is going to be overly fatty and rich, know? So it's not a big change.
Moving on, Ardo Calda asks, what's the liquid in your rib wrap? It's a little bit of this, it's a little bit of that. As my buddy Kevin Hernandez would say. No, man, I mean, it's, if I'll give you one piece of it, we're using LC's pork injection. That's what we're using.
Yeah, you follow those.
Yeah, follow the directions on the bottle, and you're going to be right around the ballpark.
Yeah, you think about that. It's the same liquids sitting in pork, creating a pork au jus. I mean, it's all going to be flavorful.
Cesar Mejia asks, burnt and tell all. If you set up next to me in Killeen, I'll give you a burnt 10 tell-all Caesar, and I'll let you taste one. So come on over, brother.
Can we have a bean tell-all?
Dude, seriously, those are the best. Andy Reyes says, you all put out great and consistent cook-off content, but do you ever feel like it gets in the way of your cook? Has it ever been a distraction? As you do more and more cook-offs, do you plan on slowing down with this kind of content? Personally, I hope you don't slow down, but I could understand if you did.
And it's funny because when we first started filming, that was like, I know you specifically wanted to find somebody else who could film for us because...
Yeah, I wanted to hire somebody.
Yeah, it's like, how are we going to do all this? I don't really think it gets in the way. Now, there's sometimes when it's like, because the way I am is I'm either going to get the shot or I'm not. I don't want you to stop doing what you're doing just so I can get a shot, you know? So I typically just try to plan ahead, make sure I have my cameras rolling, make sure I have a camera, on the drum because where I know we're about to wrap and take stuff out and show it. So it can get in the way. Yeah, like physically the equipment can get in the way. Yeah. But I don't really think it gets in the way too much because we're not, it's not like a YouTube video in our backyard where it's like, oh man, we got to reshoot this. Or, okay, hold on, let's get the perfect.
It's either you get it or you don't.
Right. So I typically just try to have things rolling, have things set up and out of sight, out of mind, so that way it's not getting in the way. And that's the issue. Our kids get really into helping. So like they're like, oh, I want to film. I want to help carry the camera. So that has definitely kind of gotten in the way when it comes to turn-in because it's like, well, we don't have time. Yeah. But that's what we try to remind them is like, we're here to compete. Yeah. If we don't get the shots, we don't get the shots. But I don't think we plan on slowing down.
Yeah. For me personally, it honestly is a little bit of a distraction. Do I think it gets in the way of my cook? No, not necessarily. But when I say that it's a distraction, I mean that in a completely different way than you're probably thinking. It's a distraction because it actually changes the way that I'm thinking. Because as weird as it sounds, like we're filming, I can't overreact to things.
Right.
I can't cuss. I can't get too mad because I don't want to show that on film. Believe it or not, it's helped me. Because I know I can't just start saying the F word. Number one, the kids are right there. And number two, we want to put this on camera. So has the F word slipped or whatever? Yeah. But I'm consistently trying to remember, hey, we're filming this for YouTube. We are here literally for YouTube videos. That's the only reason we're here. So this video has to be good. And it is a little bit nerve-wracking for sure, but for me, it makes me focus up. Mm-hmm. As far as do we plan on slowing down? I mean, no, I don't think so. I mean, that's the thing about my wife and I, and this is I'm not trying to just sound cheesy, but I promise you, we don't even have a plan for dinner tonight. We live very spontaneously, and we're like that with our kids too. No lie, sometimes we will have plans for dinner, and I'll come home and be like, nah. Where do y'all want to go to? Do y'all want to drive to Flower Bluff or somewhere else, and y'all want to go eat dinner, and then afterwards we'll go get ice cream, and then we'll come home and we'll camp out in the living room? That's just who I am. That's how I am. I love random things and having fun. And, this weekend, we just randomly decided, oh, hey, let's go to Killeen. Oh, hey, let's go over here after, stay the night there, and then let's go do this on Sunday. And then, we're like, oh, okay, I guess so. Yeah, let's do it. It's just, we're very spontaneous. I guess next week we could decide we never want to compete again. I don't know. But right now, it's a very big part of our lives. We have a lot of fun doing it. And yeah, we have a lot more that we want to do.
Well, and I think Needville was the one place where it was we forgot our mic and everything seemed against filming. So it was we'll accept it. Yeah. That's just, we're not filming this one. So, I mean, we definitely, if the feeling's way off and it's just hey, we need to just stop worrying about this and concentrate on the cook. Yeah. I mean, that happens, but we typically just try to have things rolling and picks up what it picks up. If we miss a shot, we miss a shot. It is what it is.
Yep. Mo Lee Harden says, how to carry a bag. Sorry, brother, I had to. That's funny. That's funny.
I'm not the right person to ask, Mo. Yeah. In Uvalde, too, I said to heck with the bag. I didn't even take a bag on any of them because we were right there in front of turn-in anyway. But, typically you put one hand in one strap, the other in the other. You tape that sucker together, and you carry it with both hands. Don't look at your watch like I've done. Don't look at your phone, and pay attention to the time before you take off so you're not, losing track of what the heck you're trying to do.
Yep. Eric Lopez asks, what are the most important things to bring to a cook-off? I've said this before, a list, a timeline, and your thermopin. Have a timeline, have an idea of what you want to do before you go to the cook-off, and from there, you're good to go. John Gonzalez asks, burnt ends, yay or nay? I'm a big yay.
Yeah.
A big yay. A big yay. So if you don't cook them, maybe start trying. I don't know. Ramiro Gonzalez Jr. says, legs, thighs, or half birds for CBA. What is winning the most in your opinion? I would say half birds.
Now
I would say half birds for sure.
My personal preference is thighs.
Yeah, but he's asking, what do we think is winning the most?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess people are probably using half birds more, but I mean, I just don't get it. I prefer thighs or wings are just.
Yeah.
If you're a judge for CBA and you see wings in the box, try it, because I guarantee that wing or the thigh is going to be way better than that.
Some people just don't like them. They just don't like them.
I mean, I'm a breast person too, but like, we've made so many good competition thighs and wings. How are you not a wing person at the very least, though? I don't know, but
yeah, some people don't like bones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but keep in mind though, most competition people, if they're doing thighs and wings, they're doing a trim that's going to make it easy to where you're not getting bone and cartilage in there.
Yeah, for sure.
So don't be afraid to try a wing.
But I would say, in my opinion, what's winning most is half birds. But also take that with a grain of salt. We ain't winning chicken at all. Right? So
not our half birds.
Johnny Reyna asks, what is your least favorite protein and why? And what is your favorite? Least favorite protein is chicken because we suck at it. Yeah. My favorite protein is brisket because we're good at it. It's that simple for me. It's that simple for me. Oh, gosh. AJ Garza says, what did the fox say? What was it? Ring-a-ding-ding-ding-ding, or something like that. Ring-a-ding-ding-ding.
What does the fox say? Oh my gosh, that scared the crap.
What is that, dude?
Where did you come from? Pizza.
Oh man, we got pizza.
Oh my gosh.
Our son brought us pizza. It's not a real pizza, but love you, buddy. Ricardo says, how did the name Gulf Coast Smoke come about for y'all's team name?
So the way I remember it is when we were first thinking about names, and I remember way back in the day, I thought, if I ever make a bakery, I would call it like Gulf Coast or Gulf Coast Cakes or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that kind of, I think, transitioned into, hey, Gulf Coast Smoke would be a good one because I'm not ever going to open a bakery anyway. So,
yeah, I remember it differently. If I'm being 100% honest, I remember the bakery thing coming after our team name. Personally, do you don't remember like that?
No, I specifically remember saying, well, what about this?
No, I mean, I know that, but I remember us coming up with the name first and then you saying if we had a bakery, Gulf Coast Bakery would be good.
No, I remember saying because that's one I had thought of.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we're from the Gulf Coast and then we just added the smoke because like we're smoking meats, right?
Right.
But I thought that we came up with the barbecue name first and then the bakery would have been Gulf Coast as well.
No, because when am I ever going to open a bakery?
Yeah, never. I guess you're right, but you never know. Maybe one day. But yeah, Ricardo, that's kind of how we came up with it, and cool. The one thing I'm really proud of about like out of everything that I've done for this company is like I don't know if you remember, like I actually literally drew out like on a piece of paper.
Yeah,
the logo
have that somewhere, right? Or you have the picture
I have the picture of the picture. I drew out a picture of what I wanted our logo to look like, and I sent it off to an artist, and then that's how our logo came. Mm-hmm. And I have a picture of the picture that I drew for the guy, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we're from the Gulf Coast, and then like I said, smoke just kind of, it sounded good off the tongue, Gulf Coast Smoke, so that's where we're at. Justin Kelly asked a question, when are we going to see a Gulf Coast Smoke Tex-Mex seasoning? And the answer to that is that's something that we've had heavy discussions on.
Oh yeah, I'm down for it.
Yeah. So that's one of the next ones that we want to come out with. We've been working on a few, but yeah, that one's like one of the ones that's important for us to nail pretty soon.
Yeah.
So David Dunn asks, do you think burnt ends are an advantage or a disadvantage, or do you think it just depends on where you go? I think they're an advantage if you cook them properly.
Right.
I think that a good burnt end is just something special, man.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to, again, you got to be honest with yourself. Are these burnt ends actually fire the way I think they are in my head? Be honest with yourself. If they're good, it's an advantage. Right. 100%.
Yeah, because when you get that judge who knows what a burn end is, they're going to go for it.
Yeah.
And that's going to help you out.
It could be magical.
Yeah.
So, great question, David. Stephen Pfeiffer asks, what is your favorite protein to cook? I know I just said brisket, right? A few seconds back I said brisket because we're good at it. But realistically, I think ribs and brisket are tied.
Yeah.
Because I also think we make really good ribs.
Right.
So I think ribs and brisket are like they're tied. I can't really choose.
Yeah, I like to be able to see like, okay, how's that color looking and pull it off at the right time. And
for sure. I think that ribs are easy to cook, but like they're kind of hard for the judges to judge because a lot of people make them so similar. So like if you could win ribs, that's pretty epic.
Yeah.
Which we've done multiple times, which feels really good. Baylor Backyard. Hey, shout out to Baylor Backyard. We got some stuff headed your way, brother. With as busy as you guys have been, are you still going to make time to host your cook-off? And the answer is yes, 100%. It's very important for us to have that cook-off and create that content for you guys. And then also host something that is free that guys can come out and hopefully have a good time doing. So, yes, we haven't 100% nailed the dates, but we 100% are going to do it, and we will continue to do it. At least that's the way I look at it. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest issue right now is just trying to find the right date that works for everybody. But and
the reason that it's hard is because Zach has won the last two, and basically he has to come back. He's got the belt, so we have to do it around his schedule, and we need to make sure that he's available, and he competes too. So we're trying to coordinate something with him, and that's really the biggest concern in this whole thing. But yeah, it's absolutely 100% something that we are going to continue doing.
Yeah.
And hopefully keep getting bigger and bigger, and hopefully we can get some different companies involved and have better prizes for these guys and some cash, all that good stuff, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of questions. I know that we answered some of them kind of quickly. I was consciously trying to make sure that we weren't taking too long because we are already well over an hour. But just to kind of close things off, we appreciate you guys being here. We appreciate you guys listening. If there's anything you want to hear or us talk about, leave it in the comments. Just keep an eye on our Facebook. I always ask there any questions, any concerns, any stuff like that. Who do you guys want to see on the podcast next? My son walked in with 2 Halloween buckets right now, and then he's closing the door and he's trying to leave again.
With nothing in
them. So shout out to you, buddy. Love you. And what you doing, buddy?
Just trying to make sure the door shuts.
Yeah, he's just trying to make sure the door's shutting. Cool. Well, one of the things that I told you the other day, and I don't know what made me think about it, it's probably just everything going on with my grandma, was that I wanted to continuously remind the children that we love them so much. So if they're ever listening to this one day, today is November 9th, 2023, and we love you more than anything. Thank you guys for listening or watching. Don't forget, you can watch us on YouTube. If you guys are listening in your earbuds or in your truck, you can watch us on YouTube. I had a bunch of people reach out and they're like, bro, I was cracking up when I saw you and your wife in a Luigi outfit and a Yoshi outfit. So there's another bucket. Wow. All right. Well,
that's got to be the last
one.
Yeah. I know there's no more out there.
You never know with that kid. You never know with those kids over there. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week, and wish us luck this weekend. If you're listening right now, we're on our way to Killeen. We're in Killeen. We're going to be competing on Saturday. So thank you guys again. And anything you wanted to say?
No, I'm going to go work on my intro.
Yeah, I know. this is Sabrina. I don't know, man. It was bad. I just gotta be honest with you. And then, like, when you're talking throughout the podcast, like, it's fine.
Well, because how are you supposed to hype yourself up for? And I'm Sabrina. Like, you're
like,
welcome to.
Even that was pretty bad.
Well, yeah, but that's my point. Is like, welcome back to All Things Everything, and I'm going so, and then it's just me. I'm Sabrina.
Okay, well then, how about next week you do the intro, and then we'll see how I follow you up. Yeah, I guarantee I can do it better than that.
You're used to the YouTube voice.
It's not even the YouTube voice necessarily. Like, this is how I talk.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
the YouTube video voice is different.
The sound of my voice.
I'm gonna take off the headphones.
Yeah, but I mean, it at least sounds more crystal clear. It's
whatever.
It's smooth. It sounds bad, but it's smooth. I take it off and it's like, ugh.
All right, y'all have a good one. Peace.
Peace out.